Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Relentless Love podcast. We are in season 4. I cannot believe it's season 4. I think episode 4. I'm going to try to keep up, but man, I hope y'all are enjoying it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I encourage you to like, subscribe, all the things on all the channels, definitely on YouTube, we're on Spotify. Connect with us on social media. We just launched our Relentless community where we just keep the conversations going, not just about the podcast, but I do coaching, life coaching, business coaching, marriage coaching. So if you want to pursue passion and purpose in life and in relationships, any type of relationship, I encourage you to connect. Whether you're a woman, a man, we got some good stuff for all of it. So definitely connect with us, the Relentless community. I think the link should be in this video, but I hope y'all are enjoying it. Y'all, it is Black History Month. I know we only have 2 more days in the month, but as a family, we try to celebrate all year long. And so that's exactly what I wanted to talk about today, how Brock and I have just been intentional to celebrate our heritage as African American people living in America today, how we try to celebrate that amongst our kids and just instill and impart that love, that self-love, that pride, sense of pride in who they are, in their history, but also the excitement about their future as being, young, gifted, and Black. I know it's a coined phrase, but it's so true. There is such a richness to our heritage. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But first of all, I want to make y'all laugh. So recently, a good friend of mine and we celebrated our birthdays early. We went on this experience. I'll just say that because I don't want to call out the experience, but it was interesting that it was a primarily African American audience, which was, can I just say, it's beautiful when you show up. God just wired us to be tribal. You know, there's pros and cons to that, but it's a beautiful thing. It was intended to be beautiful, to feel a sense of belonging and acceptance like instantly. So, man, walking into that environment and just being surrounded by your people, it was so refreshing, especially because we are homeschool moms. And Brock and I, even in the church, God has always called us to environments that look different, because we're called to shift the atmosphere and change the culture a little bit. But man, I can't explain how easy it can feel sometimes and refreshing. It's like a recharge. It's kind of like when you see family after you haven't seen them for a long time. So it felt like a family reunion. So anyway, it was just so beautiful. Like the rhythm, the African American community, music and rhythm and drum beats are so a part of who we are as a people, and it's a huge part of where we came from. The music in Africa, all parts of Africa, and how amazing it is. And so anyway, it's interesting how music is a huge unifier and connector among any culture, but especially Black culture. It's just, no matter how you slice it, hip hop culture, music is at the core, right? And so anyway, music was a big part of this experience. And so just hearing the music we grew up on, and everybody knows the lyrics and everybody knows the line dancing, and just like being at a wedding and the whole family gets up in their line dancing, it was just amazing. So I love that. I captured some videos and recordings so that my kids could enjoy that with me. And it's so fun. And even the girls and I are trying to learn new line dances and doing that together. So I encourage you, if you have little ones, or even if you're not, you're dating, you're married, just do that. That's an easy date night, cheap date night at home. Just get some YouTube videos, do some line dancing. We had a class during that experience, and it's, man, listen, it's not just the electric slide and Cupid shuffle and even the wild, like there's so many new, not just boots on the ground, like there's so many new ones. So I encourage you to do that. That would be a fun thing. Even if you have 2 left feet, just go do it and have fun. So I just wanted to make y'all laugh and just smile about that. It's so fun. And so that's one of the many things that with our kids, we have celebrated our Black culture in African American history. We try not to just confine it to the month of February, even though I'm thankful that across many cultures, we choose this month to celebrate and to honor not just the past, but the present and the future. There's so many people doing amazing things in arts and entertainment, in medicine, aerospace engineering. I mean, so many amazing Black figures. So, one thing I'll just start with one tip because I wanted to share tips on how to celebrate all year long. We try to dig deeper than just the familiar names and faces. So, we all know Martin Luther King, we all know Rosa Parks. But as you're exposed to those stories, who are the people behind those people? Who are those people that just didn't make, the front cover? You can find them in the memoirs, in the biographies, in the movies. Find those names and then go do research. And so we do that a lot with our kids. We traveled to DC, I think it was in 2019, and really enjoyed the African American Museum. If you haven't been there, absolutely, there's not words to describe how extraordinary it is. So I encourage you, you need a lot of time. We didn't even get to finish, so I can't wait to go back. But it is so eye-opening. I think unfortunately with, Black history, we tend to focus sometimes, or people tend to, not just we, but in general, we tend to focus on the brokenness, the slavery, but there's so much more than that. And so I love that in that museum, it goes further back, right? It reaches forward into what's happening now and how the brokenness has shaped us and made us such a resilient people. And so I think that is something that we try to celebrate. Recently, we binged watch Roots with the kids, and I did with the kids. And I remember my parents showing us the original, I think it was the 70s version. Shout out to Alex Haley and the book that he wrote and the movie. If you have not seen Roots, you should. No matter what color your skin is, you should see it. It's beautiful. There's a lot to it, and it can be hard to watch at points. But it will show you a lot. It will show you a lot and challenge you to dig deeper, to study further. And so anyway, I chose to watch that with the kids. The newer version is not quite as intense as the older version. So just know that it is a little easier on the eyes and the heart. Of course, as parents, you'll have to be selective. But can I be honest? And I'll probably talk about this in a upcoming episode about parenting. We have to have the hard conversations with our kids. We can't shrink back from talking about sex, from talking about rape. How else can we protect them if we don't, we don't have to show them all the graphic details, but they have to be aware that this not only happens, but in the African American culture, it has happened a lot. And it has shaped how, we show up and how our people, this is why we've seen certain things. So anyway, it was so surreal. I was taken back at how engaged my kids were. We would pause it, I would pause it and we would have dialogue and I would answer questions. And it was such an enriching experience to share with my kids. I wish Brock were here because he would have loved doing that with them. But nonetheless, it was powerful. And, it's funny, even in watching Roots, it was amazing to see how instrumental music played in the African American experience and how it helped them to endure, how it kept them positive and joyful, how it was a way that they communicated in moments of, they were under duress and they were able to communicate in their language. So it's so funny, rhythm and music, and how it's just so ingrained in our DNA. And so I love that that's part of our family heritage, particularly music. And so we're able to highlight that as a huge win and a beautiful expression of God's character, God's creativity. It's specific to the Black heritage. So we watch that. Music is something we celebrate all the time. We try to introduce our kids. We love Jesus and love worship, but we want them to hear all the eclectic sounds that shaped really like rock and roll, and just the history that Black musicians have played, Black songwriters, even though they were robbed, educating my kids on that, and publishing rights and the power of that, and don't sell your rights, all of those things. We've been able to just be intentional to have conversations, honest conversations, and educate our kids. And again, we do it all year long, not just in Black History Month. I think one other thing that I take away from watching those shows and movies, of course, you're not going to get absolute truth from those, but it's a starting point. So we take that, and then it points us in a direction to dive a little deeper, to look at the original sources. There are so many more narratives that are from Black and brown people that we need to hear from. And so Equiano is one. The story of Equiano, I think I got that name when we went through the museum and then found the book. And because we homeschool, we have that flexibility and freedom to kind of tailor and curate our own history. And unfortunately, the history books that are used in the school system just don't do a good job of that. Good job of that. So shout out to Mosaic Collective. I just want to bring attention. I'll make sure I tag their information. They're doing amazing things now and upcoming for alternative education. If you are a homeschool family and you need ideas, you need ways to enrich not just history, but every part of your education from the vantage point of the African American experience, from minorities where we are really celebrated, empowered, I encourage you to connect. They have not just online opportunities, virtual hybrid opportunities, but some in-person opportunities that are very empowering and equipping, celebrating Black excellence. So I encourage you to check them out, Mosaic Collective. But we have to, it takes a village. It truly does. That is the case for our people. And so connecting with villages like Mosaic, when you don't know what to do or you don't have it all figured out, that's okay. Find out from other people. And so that's what we have done. So, man, I'm just excited about other ways that we can keep pouring into our kids. Let's see. So music is something that we celebrate and highlight in our culture. Faith, just how instrumental faith has been in the African American experience, how that has shaped gospel music, how that has shaped how Black churches, their traditions, different things that we do. We have always tried to take our kids to different church environments, because I'll be honest, one of Brock's biggest soapboxes, and I hate that he didn't get to tap into that. I'll try to find his writings, but he really felt called to raise awareness to the issue that in the church, Western church in particular, and in the evangelical church, in the Bible Belt, the imagery that is used, there's a lack of awareness of how the imagery of the white Jesus, and just not seeing enough of Black and brown people, which is actually the reality, is that there are so many Black and brown people in the Bible that God used, that God called, but the imagery doesn't always portray that and convey that. And so that was a passion project of his that he did not get to tap into. However, we have had honest, open conversations with our kids. We've challenged some environments that we've been in. I know he has been very vocal about that, even in worship. The sound, he was very honest with places that he went to, and God, I think, called him as a worship leader to help introduce that African American experience into the freedom, the liberty that we have, the passion, right? All of that is so important to the worship experience. It's not right or wrong, or one is better or worse, but having that diversity in the imagery, in the worship expression, is how people come and feel like they can truly be a part of the environment. And so we've tried to be intentional with our kids, having those conversations. And again, because we've been in predominantly white environments as homeschool families and in the churches we've been a part of, it's incumbent upon us to empower our kids to love who they are, to love the way they look. I know personally, and this is a plug for next month in the podcast, I'm going to share more of my story. I know y'all have heard a lot of Brock's story and his testimony through a Saint Music, through Transformers Movement. He's been very vocal about his life transformation. And I realize not many of you know my origin story, how I've been shaped, and how that has contributed to Relentless Love, Transformers Movement, all that we do, even our kids. And so I'll be sharing that next month. But I share that because I struggled with embracing my culture. I think it's very common for Black women because we were told for a long time we had to have straight hair, we had to have a relaxer in order to be respected and accepted. I know Brock had a struggle with his locks. It was even in 2020 plus, it was a struggle to have locks and to walk into a room and command respect or and be respected and feel embraced. Is so interesting that that's still a thing. And man, he had a difficult conversation. Actually, I know seems like I'm going on rabbit trails, but this is how we empower our kids. We just have these conversations, teachable moments. But I remember him talking to a friend and a mentee on the phone because and this was actually a Latino young man, but he had locks and he was just torn, gripped because he wasn't sure if he should cut his locks because he was interviewing for this position and it was really going to set his family up for success. And it gripped Brock's heart, it gripped my heart that even in our day and time, that is still a conversation and a concern that we have to have, to show up to a job. Should I cut my hair? Should I cut off a part of who I am so that I can get a leg up and increase my income potential? That is unfortunate that we're still having those conversations. But nonetheless, that was a hard fought battle for me, was to embrace my curls. And so I wear it. Brock would always joke that that's one thing that attracted him. He thought I looked like the lady from Dead Presidents, I think it was. She was like very Afrocentric and had her little afro. And when he met me, I had my puffs and all. So I love sharing that beauty, the beauty of Black women, the beauty of African American skin tones, all the different shades of brown and Black. And it's all beautiful. It all is it's like a prism, all the different varieties that we have are different rays of beauty and radiance that reflect God's glory. And so embracing that, I have two daughters with two different skin tones. That is a real thing. The insecurities that can come with that, the competition, the inadequacies that you feel. And so we just talked about it. And I can do a lot better with, excuse me, my words, but try to remind them how beautiful they are, even in their differences, and celebrating that. So that is something all throughout the year we try to do, is celebrate the beauty of Black culture, style, fashion, even the way we speak. It's different, but there is a power in, tribal language and in different dialects and the diaspora, all of those things. We try to just introduce the terminology, talking about microaggressions. My son is now 16, he'll be 17. And because of homeschool, he's matriculating at an aggressive pace. He'll be graduating this year, and he's already taking college courses in a college setting. And so not everybody knows that he's 16 when he's in these classes. And so he's already experienced what seems to be like microaggressions in his college course, feeling like, okay, why is this teacher talking to me this way because I made, one mistake or, whatever. And so we've had to talk about that, even dating, unfortunately. I'm having to have hard conversations with him about protecting himself in the sense of not being in a wrong place at a wrong time, and you are instantly judged because you are a black man in America. It's unfortunate that we have to have those conversations, but it's a real thing. And so part of celebrating our heritage is also sharing the hard truths, but looking at the resilience that it has built in us, over centuries, and it's almost like that resiliency is ingrained in our DNA. It flows through our blood. And so just reminding them that they can do hard things, like even us walking through grief, our faith, but also our heritage plays a lot into the strength, the quiet strength that we can have, rooted in the Lord, but also because we are strong Black people. And so that's just things that we try to instill. And I encourage you, even if you don't share the heritage, just to be intentional to learn more about the African American experience so that you can understand. I know there's so much tension, so much confusion, so much chaos around politics and different things. And it can be hard to understand and appreciate or empathize with if you don't understand the African American experience. And so Black History Month is a great launching point, but find ways to learn more. And so here's some fun ways that we have done it. High on the Hog is an amazing documentary about food and the African American experience, and just the travel and trace of how the food that originated in Africa, the West Indies, all of that, and how we've integrated it in different regions in the country and different cuisines that we eat. And it's just a beautiful way. And so I think music, food, dancing, those are all fun ways to tap into the history, in addition to learning the names, learning the faces, digging deeper. Also, arts and entertainment, like I said, it's not the ultimate source of truth, but man, you will be inspired. We watched Sarah's Oil recently with the kids, and man, my daughter usually, her attention span for adult movies, like that long a movie is not there. Honey, she was so locked in watching that little girl and learning. And I cannot help but wonder how that's going to shape her expectation, how that's going to break or raise any glass ceilings that she might face, because she learned about this girl who had oil in, I think it was Oklahoma. Absolutely amazing how she had to fight for it. And her faith really was the catalyst for all of it. So I encourage you, if you haven't watched that, go watch it, but then go back and read the original account. Again, so many amazing Black names. I hate to mention one or some because there's so many. I'll try to link some, but man, and I want to bring my good friend who is just has a wealth of wisdom on the experience. And so I'll try to bring on more voices. But man, enjoy the last 2 days of Black History Month. But again, don't let it stop here. Keep it going. Go enjoy some of that good food. I was enjoying some good food, Jamaican food, with a friend last night. I got this outfit actually with the kids. We went to New Orleans in the fall and got to show them my African American heritage there in Louisiana, because it's different. Can I just say that? For my friends and brothers and sisters who are of different descent, the African American experience is different everywhere that you go, different parts of, so you can't assume it's all the same. Even if you are Black, and you're getting into a relationship and you're marrying someone that's Black, you cannot assume that your upbringing was the same, the way you ate was the same, the discrimination you experienced is the same. So have those conversations. I'm thankful for the synergy and alignment we have automatically, but some of it we have to be intentional and just have an open heart and mind to hear. But why was I saying that? Oh, because we went to the French market, and I was able to show the girls, the ladies who, this is how some of them made money, back then. And even the slaves were sold. We went to pass by Congo Square and all of that, and went to the jazz museum because we're a musical family. And so just showing them their roots, and man, even seeing the drums and all the instruments in the museum was so eye-opening. The drums that came from Africa, the banjo, most people don't know that originated from Africa, not just the bluegrass states. And so even country music, I saw a documentary recently about how cowboys, so many black cowboys. And I know for us, we're trying to get back to the land and things like that. Such a movement to get back to the land and educate our people, black people, that we were ranchers, we are cowboys, and we can embrace that lifestyle now. So anyway, so many cool ideas. I hope you can grab hold of some, dig deeper. Like I said, don't depend on documentaries and all of that to educate you, but let it be a way to point you in the direction to find those sources and get the original accounts and celebrate all the beauty of Black history and our Black heritage, and just love. I think love is the key. Love is the key. So anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your week and a great weekend. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, and look forward to next month as I share my story, and also about the Compass journey and how it was really birthed out of my struggles of finding myself. So I hope y'all enjoy it. Love y'all. See you next time.